Welcome to the Wavy Digital Desk. We're here today because April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we're joined by Kiana Patterson and two guests from Riverside Health System and the Center. Um, I, I did want to introduce everyone specifically. So we have Jessie Brown from the Center for Sexual Assault Survivors. She's the program manager, and Elizabeth Young, the Riverside Health System Forensic Nurse Examiner Program Coordinator, and of course Kiana Patterson, who has been covering this, for years, really, and focusing on domestic violence and sexual assault awareness in our area. So I just wanted to turn it over maybe first to Jessie. Can you just tell us what the center is?
Sure. The Center for Sexual Assault Survivors, we're located in Newport News, Virginia. We serve the whole peninsula, Hampton, Newport News, Isle of Wight, Surrey County, York County, Poquoson. And so we do all of our services for free. We offer individual counseling, support groups. We offer medical accompaniments, and court accompaniments or law enforcement accompaniments. We have a 24-hour crisis hotline. Survivors or their loved ones can call for our services. And like I said, all of our services are free to survivors as well as their loved ones as well.
And I know that's something, Kiana, that you really wanted to highlight is the free, resource that is there for survivors. I mean, do you want to speak a little bit about that? I mean, you have such a knowledge of resources in the area, but that is specifically something that we wanted to make sure we mentioned today.
Oh, yes, the Center for Sexual Assault Survivors is so important because they provide those free resources. Free counseling after trauma is key to healing from anything. So I think that it's really important that we make sure that people know that this is here, this is available. You don't have to struggle and suffer in silence. These resources are here for you and readily available. But the key to making sure that these resources are available is because they need fundraising. They have to raise the money to make sure that these resources are free. And that kind of segues into the walk. The walk for Walk in Their Shoes is this Saturday. We're going to have it at the Hampton Peninsula Town Center. Everyone is welcome to come out. We would like you to go on and register online, and then also donate because they need money to make sure that these resources are still available.
And we have that link up in the chat as well as tagged Riverside and the center. So if you want more information, head over there. And also there's a wavy.com link that does talk about the walk, where to register, and some local resources. And this chat will be in there later today if you're seeing this at a later time. Elizabeth, I wanted to, head over to you. Can you talk a little bit before we dive into the walk about your role in Riverside Health System?
Absolutely. So I have a team of forensic nurses. We have worked with the center. I've been here 15 years, so we've had a relationship with them for as long as I can remember. They provide their advocates to come to the hospital to provide emotional support, make sure that they're getting warm handoff to resources in the community, and providing beyond what we can do as far as the criminal justice process and continuing on their healing journey. They have always been an asset to us when a patient comes into emergency services and needs a forensic medical exam. This exam can take up to 3 hours. It's very nuanced in the different jobs that we have to do, whether it's injury identification, it's medication prevention, a lot of education on what our services are, and perhaps side effects of the medication and beyond. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work that we're doing. Having the advocates there, they're able to deal with the emotional aspects so that we can, we're tunnel vision, do our job appropriately. We're doing really good documentation. We're doing really focused, clear photo documentation, and that we know at the same time they're emotionally supported in a trauma-informed way, that we are coming together as a team. So ultimately, in Newport News, we have a sexual assault response team that's also going to include law enforcement and our prosecutors. But we're a team. We meet usually bi-monthly so that we can review our complex cases. What are we doing well? What could we do even better? And Riverside Health System is we're seeing patients in each of our hospitals. So as Jesse said, they are hitting all the local jurisdictions. We're right with them. We're seeing about 12 jurisdictions. We respond out to Williamsburg, to our doctor's hospital. We'll respond out to Gloucester for patients out at that area as well. And every jurisdiction that we visit, we make sure we're connected with that local advocacy. So we really support this walk. We have always, my team will be there. We'll be walking. We'll have some Riverside swag. So come on by. The community, you can ask questions about the medical forensic exam, really anything you want. If they need to speak privately about any concerns, we're happy to provide that space as well. And we just couldn't be happier. Our team has helped raise a lot of money for the walk, and we're looking forward to supporting the 2023 year.
I just wanted to jump in and ask you about the nurses. I know that you said that they are there 24 hours, and that was something that you really had to advocate for.
Yeah, so we used to be an on-call program. So we all had full-time jobs. Most of us were ER nurses, and then we took call. But as time has progressed and we've evolved in the type of services we offer, that just wasn't doable anymore. We really needed full-time in-house response. So yeah, we have around-the-clock forensic nurses. So if you come to one of our acute care hospitals, you are going to have immediate connection with a nurse to protect your privacy, your confidentiality, and get the services moving as quickly as possible.
And that is something that I am going to highlight tonight on Wavy News 10 starting at 4 and 5. It's just the 24-hour care that you guys provide over at Riverside. You guys have a room, set aside in the ER specifically for sexual assault survivors to come and confidentially, get their evidence collected and have all of that. But could you talk with us about how there may be hesitancy for people to come to Riverside or to reach out to the Center for Sexual Assault Survivors?
Absolutely. So, with being sexually assaulted, there can come self-blame, just nervousness that you may already have interacting with medical professionals, or perhaps traumatic situation you've had in the past, maybe in an emergency department. So that obviously can be a barrier for patients. So I think the biggest thing between the center, the walk, having our services at Riverside is us educating the community that you've got trauma-informed, victim-centered folks, professionals out there that care for you, that we want to be here for you. And we want to do this in a manner that protects your dignity, that pushes you forward in a healing and empowering way. And that's what we have strived for all the years that Riverside has had a forensic nurse program, is just protecting all of those mentalities, that you are safe when you come here. You can trust us. We're going to take the best care of you. We have unparalleled services through Riverside, and we're going to always do a warm handoff. We're going to call you within 24 hours, make sure you're navigating okay. And we're going to have you come back in a few weeks, and we're going to retest you for everything. And we're going to make sure you've had appropriate response from our community allied services, along with law enforcement, along with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. We have everybody on speed dial. Like I said, we're a close SART team, and we work together to make sure that this is as best an experience a patient can have through one of the worst times of their lives.
Absolutely.
And Jesse, that directed to you as well, I think, just to speak about what you all can do, if someone does come to your doors.
Yeah, whether you come to our doors or call us on the phone, We're going to take our time with everyone, collect as much information as we can, direct them to the hospital if that's something that they want to do. Because just like Elizabeth from Riverside, all of our services are voluntary, and we're going to ask what the individual wants to do. So we appreciate our collaboration with Riverside wholly. The mostly seamless transition from either us to them or them to us has been working so great. And we're going to make sure that we help everyone that comes to our door or calls us or sends a request on our website. And if they're not in our service area, we're going to make sure we find the right fit for them wherever they are. So we're going to connect them with counseling if they want. We're going to connect them with law enforcement if they want. Really, whatever they're looking for, we're going to help connect them with.
And I know at the walk on Saturday, there will be a lot of different organizations out there, from the LGBTQ Life Center to military organizations, sororities, and fraternities out there. Could you talk with me a little bit about how you guys provide resources to military spouses, military members? I know that this is a huge military area. Just talk with us about that, Jesse.
Sure. So we collaborate with all of the sexual assault response teams for each military branch and base in this area. We provide a lot of trainings for the military advocates when they're training to become advocates. We do get client referrals from the military sexual assault responses as well. Many times they'd rather go through our services or, because we're a free center and we're confidential, they like to come to our services. Again, we provide the individual or the secondary survivor, so a loved one or partner or something like that. So we do see quite a few collaborations with all of the military branches, and I know there's going to be quite a few there at the walk. I think there's going to be around 20 community partners there, give or take, maybe a few. So lots of great resources. We're going to have, of course, the center's resources and all of our advocates and staff and volunteers there. So if someone needs to talk or ask about services, we will have a space available for that.
And just segueing over to Elizabeth, I know that you said that some of the hesitancy kind of last week when we talked, you said some of the hesitancy from reporting is because a lot of people are scared to talk with law enforcement. Could you talk with us about how the forensic nurses are supposed to report certain cases depending on age, and then the others, they have the decision if they would like to report?
Absolutely. So of course, we're in a position that we're mandated reporters for our 17 and under, but we're also at the other end of the spectrum, 60 and over. So we're mandated to report to CPS and APS. Now there's gray areas to all of that. So our due diligence is reporting, documenting. Law enforcement or CPS, APS are aware. However, we do give that choice, that empowerment again, that they do not have to cooperate if they do not want to give details of what happened, but they still want to proceed with all of my services. That is 100% allowable. So we call it restricted or blind reporting. We will still collect evidence, and this evidence will be sent to Richmond. They have a confidential storage area. So we can't take anything that needs to be refrigerated, but dry evidence storage can stay there for up to 2 years. And then if they want it kept longer, they can write in and request an extension of that evidence collection or keeping that evidence. The only thing is 12 and under. So if we have a patient that's 12 and under, we have to have authorization by a detective to collect evidence. So we can't have parents, requesting, and then so there's always law enforcement involved with 12 and under, but that kind of that gray area, 13 to 17, also by code of Virginia, they can make decisions on STI testing, mental health services, substance abuse. We kind of have a gray area where they can decline working with law enforcement, but we'll still provide all those services with parental notification.
Thank you for explaining all of that to us.
And, Elizabeth, I think the one thing that you all do with your Fear to Freedom program, I think hopefully if people knew about it, maybe eases the burden potentially of all of that, the testing that does take place, or at least, sets off, sort of on the right path of the care that they need personally, and doesn't make it so medical and so invasive, sort of offering something. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that program that you all offer?
Yeah, so actually Fear to Freedom is another local nonprofit.
So sorry, I was, we have the video of the bags at your health system,
yeah.
yes.
So we've been connected with them for about 12 years. The genesis of that was former First Lady of CNU, Rosemary Tribble. So it's her legacy, her baby. She would help students that would even come to Riverside, be their support person, and notice that sometimes we had to take patients' clothes. And if we didn't have donations of clothes, we had to send them out in paper scrubs. So she created Fear to Freedom, which they provide us with aftercare kits that the students have made. We usually get about 300 to 400 a year. They're stuffed with new clothes, yoga pants, shirts, toiletry, therapeutic items. There's a Freedom Bear. These are amazing. I hate to even think about what my work was like before we had them. They're all size-based. It's just an amazing gift we're able to give patients. Each student that creates a kit writes a special, it's a generic note, but they're always uplifting. They always make my eyes wet when I read them. It's a special night. We have an hour to empower over at CNU once a year, and we get to be a part of these students making these kits. And then they're all brought over to the hospital. They're put down in our basement, and then we're restocked for another year. It's an incredible program. They're feartofreedom.org, and I also sit on their board as well.
I know that you used to sit on the Center for Sexual Assault Survivors board. Is that correct?
I did, yeah. I did for many years. And your time on the board ends, and that was a special time for me to be involved, kind of from the beginning of my time in forensics and doing this kind of work. So and I encourage all these nonprofits are always looking for new board members, new expertise from the community in many different sectors, so financial to advocacy to education. So that's always something nice to. If you're looking to bolster your CV or your volunteer time, it's a great way to give back.
Just segueing over to Jesse, I wanted to highlight that you guys offer a male counseling session. Can you talk with me about that and why it's unique to the center?
Sure. So we offer a men's support group, which is all of our services are currently virtual. And it has been thriving in the virtual world. We have, I want to say, around 8 to 12 males that come consistently to the virtual group. It's ran by a volunteer. He's a PhD doctor, professor, and he moved away a few years ago, but he still continues to volunteer with us. So we appreciate that. And then we do offer individual counseling for men as well. And that might not seem like out of the ordinary, but sometimes it is. There are many places that will only serve women or women and children. But in order to kind of break down barriers for reporting and destigmatizing male survivors, I think it's important for us to offer services, and that also helps with funding as well. So if the federal government or the people that are giving us grants see, they have, there's a bigger need for services for male survivors, we can ask for more money for those services to make sure that we are able to provide those. So for many, many years, there has been so many stigmas surrounding men and sexual assault, and we really like to combat that by ensuring we offer services to them as well, and that they understand that they're supported just as anyone else that were to come to the center.
I did want to talk about, I know that we talked last week about the trends that you all saw as we were coming out of COVID, as some of those lockdowns were being lifted. There was somewhat of an increase in child sexual assault. Could you guys talk with me about those trends that you saw then in comparison to now?
Sure.
Jesse, if you, yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. So I moved here just under 2 years ago, and I was doing victim advocacy for a child advocacy center where I used to live, and we saw that a lot of children during COVID were stuck at home with perpetrators or people that they weren't typically had contact with. They didn't have their safe school space. They didn't have their counselors at school, or, the outside world was kind of shut down. A lot of services were shut down, so they weren't receiving the support. So we did see a big influx of disclosures once things started to open back up again. I personally don't know exact statistics, but I do know we are still seeing many cases, a lot of teen cases mostly. We do see some younger children, but the 13 to 24 group is really the main group of individuals, both male and female. At least here at the center, that's what we're seeing.
And I think nationally, I spoke with someone from CHKD a few months ago, but we were just talking about the CDC findings. I think they came out in February. That sort of parallel, maybe what you're seeing locally. I think nationwide, they've seen, sexual violence skyrocket really in that group as well.
Yeah.
So how do we stop, that number from going up? I know you have a shirt on that says no is a complete sentence, and that's what, that is. But I guess how do we have these conversations with that section of that age?
Yeah. So we are an intervention center. We intervene after the sexual assault has happened, but we are supporters of the prevention side. So this month being Sexual Assault Awareness Month, as well as, Child Abuse Awareness Month, you'll see pinwheels around, the blue and silver pinwheels. It's important to, teach children about their bodies, teach teens about consent and healthy dating, and what consent consists of, and coercion and things like that. It's important to educate our young people and college age students, everyone really, but to help combat that, just really giving a lot of education. So we try to get into schools more, which we've kind of been able to do in the last year, which has been exciting, just to get that information and education out there, and let everyone know that there is support, and your body is your own, and no means no. You don't owe anyone an explanation for anything. Just like you said, my shirt says no is a complete sentence. So helping young people understand that, and understand, the consequences and lifelong consequences that some people deal with as a result of sexual violence. So really just educating and putting our face out in the community, coming to stuff like our walk this weekend and showing your support are all ways that the community can get involved and help combat such a large issue.
And I think, when I do a lot of stories on domestic violence awareness, I feel like the same applies for survivors of sexual assault, is if someone does confide in you, the first thing you say is, I believe you. How
Yes.
can I support you? How can I help you? I think that takes us a long way, especially on the healing journey.
Yes.
But yeah, just going back to the walk in their shoes is this Saturday. It starts at 9 o'clock. Registration's at 8:30. It's at the Hampton Peninsula Town Center. We'd love to have you come out and join us in this walk, in this fight, in this journey to heal. And I think that is kind of everything. And also, please donate to the center.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Jesse and Elizabeth, for joining us, and Kiana for taking time out of your normal schedule to do this in the digital studio today. Again, I'm just gonna leave it with, there are links in the bio on Facebook, in the description here, and on wavy.com. So please don't feel shy about going to those resources and seeing what else this area offers, because there are a lot, and you can see Kiana's coverage and check out the walk this weekend. So thank you all so much for watching.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.